Always have Mary's line. Oh yes, me roll it. Me not care what you say. Strictly herb it on me brain. Roll up your ganja spray. Roll up your ganja spray.
So what are you doing? Nothing. Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P.A.C.E Radio Show. My name is Al Graham, and we are coming to you live here on lifestyleradio.ca. Thank you for coming, or thank you for tuning into the program. Tonight, my joint host is Debbie Stultz-Giffin, and tonight she has invited a guest who is here to talk about veterans and a few other things, I'm sure, throughout the night. But before we find out more, let's have a little quick chat with Deb. Hi, Deb.
Hey, Al. How's it going?
Oh, well, you know, we're all patients for a reason, and sometimes our condition reaches out and bites us, and it's one of those biting moments. So,
Sorry to hear that.
but you know, hey, it's you know, I'll get through this just like any other time. So, but you know,
To better days for sure.
yeah, that's right. Well, you know, honestly, things are better today than they were 2 days ago. So that's all. That's all positive.
Progress.
That's right. Exactly.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, and yourself, how you've been? Haven't talked to you in a month.
Not too bad, thanks.
Good. Busy with the grandchildren.
Always.
Yes. Yeah, I know how you feel. We're a bit busy with ours. Our daughter's in the process of moving. They bought a new house, doing renovations. So, you know, let's help out where you can. So, all right. News items. Just quickly, I see, being that you're on the East Coast, and the company, an LP down there, Organogram, an East Coast company, has joined forces with another East Coast big name down there, and the Trailer Park Boys. I don't know if you caught that on the news.
It's quite interesting, Al. In reading it, it sounds like the Trailer Park Boys were the ones who approached Organogram.
Yeah.
Trying to be ahead of the wave, talking about having an in with brand development and product placement, claiming that they've been monitoring things closely and best understand how they can enter the cannabis space in Canada, which I find interesting as heck, really, since the looming cannabis market has yet to be defined.
For sure, because, you know, presently, you know, LPs technically are not supposed to be advertising and promoting. And, you know, here we got Snoop at Tweed, and now we've got the Trailer Park Boys at Organogram. You know, and what they're going to do, come up with, like, bubble buds?
Well, really, and the other thing that struck me would be the fact that bubble buds just may not fly, because those who were lobbying the government hard to maintain the reins of prohibition as tightly as they can are putting forth concepts like no branding, no fancy labeling that would attract the eye, even just basic generic packaging, basic information in a book, and that's it. I mean, I went to a a presentation a couple months back that was sponsored by a not-for-profit in Nova Scotia called Injury Free Nova Scotia, and that was the very tack they were taking. So, I mean, it all remains to be seen. It's all up in the air, and it just leaves me shaking my head at the end of the day, Al.
Well, they've got, they said here that they've signed a 5-year term to do this developing and all that. They talked about branding of peripheral cannabis items. So it won't be just the cannabis product itself. There'll be other things included.
Oh, well, no doubt there'll probably be
vaporizers. Who knows?
Trailer park bongs, like the Cheech bongs and the whole nine. Yeah,
exactly. Huh?
Capitalism at its finest, dare I say.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Now, before I get to our next news item, I just want to do and that's because I want to bring our guest in on that news item. I just want to remind everybody about our free prize draw. You just go to the P.A.C.E website, send us a message saying that you want some free stuff, and we'll send you some. If we get a bunch of names, everybody's names goes into a hat, and we draw out our name, and that person wins whatever I'm going to give away free that week. This week's winner is PJ Green. She submitted her name along with others, and I pulled hers out of the hat. And I'm going to be sending her a TY cup, their medicinal cup that they had as a reusable bag, and send her that, some pins, a DVD, and a radio show mug from CC Nexus as well. So she'll be able to sit around and have coffee in the morning and tell everybody about the radio show and the stuff that she wants.
And a bag to keep all of her other goodies in. That's quite the prize package.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe go down to the store and pick up a few items, and people see the bag and it becomes a conversation piece, right?
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah. Okay, now into our last news item, and that's because I want to bring in our guests, and we'll just we'll bring them in, and then we'll go from there. So I'd like to welcome. John Percy to the P.A.C.E radio show. John. How you doing, John?
Yeah, good friends. Known each other for decades, haven't we? Yeah.
Decades. Well, and you know what, John?
Just came right to you.
This isn't the first time. This isn't your first time on the radio show either. You've been on the radio show with us in the past.
That's correct. Yep. Talking about politics and legalization.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, because you were at that time. You were the leader of the Green Party in Nova Scotia.
That is correct. I retired last year.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sure at some point over the next hour we'll get into you with that. But what I know, Deb, this was something that was high on your list, and I know it's high on John's, and that was the recent government announcement. I imagine, Deb, you got some questions for John on that.
Well, certainly. I know, John, you've worked with veterans organizations in the past, and perhaps we'll just start there. If you'd like to mention who you've worked with to our listening audience, and then we'll go on and talk about yesterday's announcement.
Oh, okay. I don't necessarily come from a military family, but my dad served in World War II. My uncle was a lifer, and my brother was a captain in the Royal Canadian Regiment, and I did 4 years in the reserves. But that was an awfully long time ago. No connection. No.
I'm thinking, what? Keep going.
But I realized early on that the military was not the life for me. It was the 60s, and there were a lot of other things happening that were far more interesting. So I let that slide, and I moved on to other things. But the plight of veterans and the treatment of veterans has always kind of stuck with me. And it it's just something that's always been very, very close to my heart. And I stick my nose into an awful lot of areas concerning veterans and veteran health, just because it's a social justice issue for me. I'm big on social justice. You know, I've been fighting for legalization since the Ledane Commission interim report in 1972. You know, it's a social justice issue. Homeless veterans is a social justice issue. I was one of several people that put together the organization, Veterans Emergency Transition Services, or VETS, which basically tried to get homeless veterans off the street and into safe places and get them receiving their pension checks and just putting them on their feet again. And they've done such amazing work, just amazing work. And I remember the first time we went to Veterans Affairs here in Halifax and said that this is what we wanted to do. They said, "Oh, we already looked. There are no homeless veterans in Halifax." And we went out that night and we found 3. And it just took off from there.
Wonderful.
And Canadian Veterans Advocacy, which is a great national organization, and they do such fabulous advocacy for veterans. And Mike Blay is practically killing himself traveling from Niagara Falls to Ottawa on a weekly basis to talk to government and talk to bureaucrats and get little bits of this changed and get points of view across. And he's just a force of nature. You know, God love the guy. But this is just stuff that I feel compelled to do.
Well, and you were mentioning this morning that Mike has done multiple interviews since yesterday's media release announcing this capping of 3 grams a day for veterans that the government is willing to pay for, as well as dropping the amount per gram that they're willing to pay. That's coming back to $8.50 according to this news release.
That's correct. Yep. And they're basing that on their committee meetings, stakeholder meetings, that they're pulling the 3 gram a day out of those consultations, apparently, where they were told by medical experts that and Health Canada that the average medical cannabis patient in Canada consumes 3 grams a day. So they said, okay, the average is good. The only problem with that is in the veterans community, the average daily consumption is 6 grams a day. So already they've had their daily consumption cut by 50%.
And
it
that's
really
that's
depends.
Assuming,
yeah.
That's assuming they're within that 6 gram average, because of course some of the veterans where it's an average.
Yeah, it's an
6 grams
average.
a
That
day.
means somebody's doing 12, and
So yeah, well,
Instead of a half, it becomes a quarter.
That's right.
So right now, presently, it's set up where Veterans Affairs pays for up to 10 grams
Correct.
per vet, correct? And
That
now
is
they're
correct.
reducing that. And now they're reducing that back to that magic 3 number that we've been hearing for several years.
Yes, thank you, Health Canada.
Yeah, like not every person is subscribed the same amount of whatever medicine, pharmaceutical medicine.
Of course not.
They come in all different. And this
And
would
you
be
and I could be prescribed the exact same strain for the exact same problem, and we're trying to alleviate the exact same symptoms at the exact same level of pain and whatever. And you and I take the exact same amount of the exact same thing, and it'll hit us completely different.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has to do their own dosage titration, and you can't have a bureaucrat in Ottawa doing that for you, and you can't have them coming between you and your doctor.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for disaster. I heard Noah Starr, a veteran from Fredericton, talking on CBC radio today, talking about how he viewed it as a direct threat to his life and well-being, and saying that the Minister of Veterans Affairs, Ken Hare, was irresponsible and would have blood on his hands.
That's exactly what he said, yes. Because these guys, listen, a lot of people don't understand the stress of military life, especially if you've served in an overseas theater. Now, I have never served in an overseas theater. Okay, I'm not saying that I've ever done that. But I certainly know an awful lot of people who have and are dealing with things that you and I should never even have to think about. And this stuff works for them. It works. And like General Dallaire said the other day, if it works for them, give it to them. No more questions. Whatever it is, if it works for them, give it to them. However much they need. End of story. And that's how it has to be. It really does. It can't come down to a budgetary thing where my medical and physical well-being is determined by an actuary in Ottawa.
Do they ever look at capping? Do they cap anything else for the vets as far as?
No, I can have, vets can have all the OxyContin you want. They'll deliver it by the dump truck if you want.
But they seem to be worried about vets who may be selling the product out the back door, but they seem to be worried about maybe opiates going out the back door, being that like the province or country has an epidemic going on. And they're worried about cannabis going on. That's.
I have never, in my years, I have never run across any legitimate patient, veteran or civilian, who has sold their medicine. I just haven't met anybody who does that.
Well, and interesting.
It's a made-up kind of thing that they're using to try and control, try and maintain as much control over this as they possibly can. You were saying, Deb?
That was one of the allegations in Allard, and certainly Health Canada weren't able to bring any substantive evidence to the table that showed that patients were siphoning their medicine out the back door to the black market.
No, it's just like any other urban myth. It gets repeated often enough, and people believe it.
Correct.
But there isn't.
Well, and it's so
same.
Interesting. In spite of it, sorry to interrupt, but I'll just slide in a quick point. In spite of this being highlighted in Allard, nothing could be substantiated. I'm still hearing it time and time again from Health Canada about the feasibility of patients selling their medicine by the truckload out the back door.
Yeah, there isn't a system designed by humans anywhere in the world that is not going to have a small percentage of people try to game it. And systems designers understand this and build in about a 6% rate of abuse. And that's pretty standard across any system that you want to take a look at the skeleton of, whether it's the welfare system, whether it's Veterans Affairs, whether it's the Canadian Senate, whether it's about 6% of people in any one of these particular systems is going to try and get a little extra or game the system in some way. So they build that in. But those are the people that all the regulations are made for. Those are the people that all the laws are made for. And those are all the laws and regulations that everyone else, like you and me, have to live with day to day to protect those 6% from, doing stupid things. And
welcome to the nanny state.
The rest of us pay for that, and they do that by having actuaries and experts who have probably never needed to consume medical cannabis for anything dictate how much is going to be good for somebody with severe PTSD or somebody with massive chronic pain in their shoulders or hips. It's just mind-boggling, and everyone I've spoken with over the last couple of days are just smacking their heads against the wall. They just don't understand. I mean, you notice the minister said, we had deep consultations with, all stakeholders, and we had, consultations with medical experts, and we had consultations with veterans, and we had consultations with these people, addiction specialists, the whole thing. That means nothing, because consultation means, yeah, you were there. It doesn't mean that they had to listen to you or take any of what you had to say and write it down. Yeah, they were there. We heard them. Yeah. But we're going to do this anyway. But to say that, we did this in consultation with all these groups doesn't necessarily mean that all those groups agreed. It just means that you consulted with them and you were going to do what you wanted anyway.
For sure. It's another fancy way to say smoke and mirrors.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I can tell you the medical cannabis community in veterans world here in Canada are really, really upset. I mean, they're really upset. Yeah. There are people who are wondering if they're going to have to go back on opioids.
I can just imagine.
Yeah. Sure. And that's scaring the shit out of them because they remember what they were like. And now their life is completely different. I mean, completely different. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go for a break, and we will get right back into this when we come back. There's much more that I want to touch on with what's going on here with the veterans and the cap and what effect it'll have on them and a few other things. Tonight, our music's going to be by the Killing Time Band again, and the song is appropriately named Ounce of Goodness. When we return, Debbie and I will continue our talk with John Percy. This is the P.A.C.E Radio Show on lifestyleradio.ca. John Percy, this is the P.A.C.E Radio.
Please hang up and try again.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Least expected. Oh, the greatest gift of all. Ounce of goodness, handed out to one and
all. Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with CC Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. CC Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, We feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CTCP Society, or search Canadian Therapeutic Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the P.A.C.E Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the P.A.C.E Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it. When your problems in 10 feet tall, and there's no one you can call, you can't find your words to say, I'll remind you of that day. Hello, you're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.ca. And you can also find us live over at Spreaker, Shoutcast, and TuneIn Radio. So we're around in a few places. Lifestyleradio.ca is the home of several radio programs. This includes the Coverage Radio Show. And they are a program that is a mix of rock, alternative, punk, and metal tunes. So if you love music, Coverage Radio has a huge variety there. You catch their shows with DJ Michael Eldridge every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So you can tune into that, the Coverage Radio Show. Tonight on our program, we're joined by our guest, John and Percy, along with joint host, Debbie Stultz-Giffin, and both of them are members of the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana, right?
Yes, we are.
Good. All right. Before the break, John, we're talking to you about the vets and just the just announced cap, the effects that it's going to have on the patients, and you're talking about some of the patients who had some concerns. Are they not seeing a large reduction of pharmaceutical drugs that these patients would have been taking otherwise? Especially the opiate area.
Well, short answer here is yes. And interestingly, Veterans Affairs Canada's own data supports that, because it shows that over the past 4 years, the number of veterans prescribed sedatives had decreased by nearly 30%, and opioid prescriptions shrank almost 17% during the same period. And it's not just the cross-costing of stuff like that. It's how that contributes to a person's quality of life.
Correct.
Right? Because having been on opioids for chronic pain, I can tell you every day, Monday through Sunday, was me lying on the bed watching the ceiling fan go.
Yeah, that's not life.
That's not life. There's no quality of life there.
No.
And what has happened now is that people have rediscovered their lives. They've rediscovered their kids, their families. They're working. They're taking part in society, and it empowers them. It gives them a sense of pride that they can contribute again. And you take that away, and there could be consequences. And I really think that, and I really, really hope it doesn't happen, because it happens all too often anyway. But lives have been restored. Lives have been restored. And as General Dallaire says, if it works, give it to them.
Yeah,
Period.
exactly.
Period. That's it. If it works, give it to them.
Now, what I also noticed is in this capping, as you said, they cap it. They are going to pay for up to $3,000. But if a veteran is signed 5, then they're expected to pay the other 2. Is that how it's going to work?
That's how it's going to work. And they say that they've left a door open that if you absolutely medically needed, say, 8 grams a day, there's what's called the Extraordinary Circumstances Clause. You can file through extraordinary circumstances to see a specialist to have that booted up to your required daily gram. Problem. I don't know what it's like out where you are, but even civilians here, to get a specialist from your doctor, assuming you have a doctor, is between 7 and 9 months. And once you get to see that specialist, the other assumption is that he or she is actually going to sign those papers.
Correct.
How many doctors do we know who won't do that? And the other problem with veterans, there are approved lists of specialists that you must see. If you go off that list, they just won't accept it.
So you can't just go to
just any
specialist
doctor
that your family doctor recommends.
So
you have to go to theirs, which obviously, you got to start thinking bias already.
So there's a lot of hurdles. They make it sound easy, but I mean, I've been to see specialists, and to get to see a neurologist in Nova Scotia is 7 to 9 months, and if they've got nothing to help you with because it's not their area of expertise, and they send you another one, it could be another 7. And it just keeps going round and round. So what do you do in the meantime?
Yeah, the patient's having to suffer, which is totally wrong.
Or go back on opioids.
Yeah. What do you think?
Which is another form of suffering.
It's a pretty dismal picture, and certainly I find many of the reports I'm hearing from patients and their encounters with physicians, and so many doctors not wanting any involvement in the program at all, and here in Nova Scotia referring patients to the trauma healing center and the Cannabis Access Clinic, when both of those clinics are forcing patients to purchase from LPs if they're going to give them medical authorization. It just humbles.
Yeah. I was looking here at this caps thing and the dollar amount that they've put a cap on what they'll help pay for. And I noticed that there was 1 or 2 LPs that said that veterans can get any strain on their list for that $8.50. So if it's normally a $15 strain, they'll sell it to them for $8.50. But in dollar-wise, a $15 gram, a vet was allowed 10. That's $150 coverage. Now it's $8.50, 3 grams. So they've gone from $150 a day to $25.
That's right.
Like that is like what's that? 90% of their coverage was removed. Like,
probably about 80, 85. Yeah,
yeah,
85% of the coverage. Yeah.
Wow. No,
Yeah,
no,
it's jaw dropping, isn't it?
it is. It is, Yeah. And I'll be going into a veterans marijuana for veterans location tomorrow in Trenton. Where I do magazine deliveries, and I'm like, I can just imagine what it's like in there, and any of these centers, any of the businesses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The phone's been ringing off the wall.
Oh, people. Certainly, social media has been just talking about nothing else. Really. That and suicide. So, that's
I know the conservatives. I know they brought it up, and the liberals have obviously brought it up and done something with it. Done something to it, and this is why the conservatives probably didn't want to, because there would be such an outcry. These people protected us. They go into the theater of war. And so when it comes time to cover the medicine, if they're covering all their other medications, why not include cannabis as well? Like,
yeah, and here's the thing: there are Veterans Affairs covers the cost up to 10 grams until May 21st of next year, unless you're just starting now. But if you're already on the program, then they'll cover you on May 21st of next year. But
so anybody new to it will get the 3 gram cap. Okay.
That's right. Veterans Affairs pays the invoices. The thing is, the LPs that are supplying to the veterans are actually not. And I don't want to say this out of turn. Not everybody does this. There have been 1 or 2 instances that I am aware of. Okay. Where Veterans Affairs has been billed an outrageous amount per gram. And it's just totally unjustifiable.
Why couldn't they, if they can restrict the LPs right now at $8.50? I guess maybe they're not restricting the LPs, they're restricting the dollar amount per gram that the vet is allowed to do. And some of these LPs have stepped up and said, okay, we'll give it to them for that amount. If something like that could be done, why not allow them still to get their 10 grams a day? They still get the medication, and they cut their costs in half.
They cut their costs in half, and they also cut the cost of prescribing opioids, and all of the resultant mental health problems that they have to pay for that occur with, prescription opioid overdose. Right? You have to factor in all of the problems that come with that. And all of the extra money that VAC has to put out to treat the veterans who are now suffering substance abuse issues. Or you could put them on cannabis therapy and eliminate most of that most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You run things like an insurance company, and you only think of if all you have is a hammer, every problem appears, to be a nail. So,
it's just so bad. Deb, we got a few minutes before we go to a break. You want to get a question in here with John before we do so?
Sure.
Well, here's another thing to think. Here's another thing to think about. With cannabis therapy, because the veteran's quality of life improves, his family's quality of life improves. They end up contributing to society in a much more meaningful way, which means society improves, which means that from a dollar perspective, we're actually better off in all facets of society, not just financially, but as well as financially. Because happy people are, and people who are satisfied, people who are happy are productive and are contributors And, it's so much better than lying on the bed watching the ceiling fan.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly. Go ahead.
If you're looking at somebody with PTSD and they're going to be getting less of medicine that works well for them and their quality of life deteriorates and they have a family, it's not only their quality of life, but the quality of life of the spouse, the family unit that goes downhill. There's ensuing stress. There will be increasing trips to family physicians by all family members.
Yep.
And extrapolating it from there, the social and healthcare costs of this
They're enormous. Sure. It's billions of dollars.
So it just
no wonder we can't
behooves me
afford
how-
healthcare. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. Everything from veterans ended up being on the street, veterans who end up having to deal with mental health issues and end up on the street, and then they end up having problems that way, and they're all cost to society.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can give them something like cannabis that can help them and has proven to help them, it only makes sense to me to keep giving them the cannabis.
Yes, and the concern with the minister was that so many, they've had this massive influx of veterans who have gone on the medical cannabis program in the last 2 years. It's been, it's like quintupled the number of people that are on the program. And I can tell him exactly why, and there's no reason to worry about it. It's because veterans talk to veterans and they say, hey, this shit works. They say, oh, I got to get me some of that. And they said, it does work. And that's why there's more veterans now on the medical cannabis program. But, if you want to keep costs down, then you talk to the licensed producers who are supplying it. Don't talk to the people who have to pay for it out of pocket.
Exactly. And as we saw, there's a couple who are already friendly to reducing those costs to help out. It says here 3,000 veterans have joined the program in 8 years.
Yeah. But most of those are in the last 3.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
It was like 100. It was 100 like 3 years ago. Now it's like 3,000. It just literally exploded.
I'd be curious to know if they hadn't thrown a monkey wrench into the MMAR, what the expense level would be like with the federal government. How many of those veterans would be opting to self-produce, have a home garden, and thrive on the therapeutic aspects of being able to produce their own medicine, that reason to get up in the morning and
exactly.
Oh, sure. And then you're combining 2 different therapies. You're combining gardening, farming therapy with cannabis therapy. And gardening therapy has been well documented and proven as a very effective therapy, especially for veterans. I believe in Vancouver, there's a veterans therapy garden, there's a whole organization there. And in the States, there's Farmers Veteran Coalition. It's just amazing therapy. You combine that with another amazing therapy. Pretty good results.
It is. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
money saving and win-win.
Yep.
Win all the way around. Okay, it's time for a commercial break. Tonight we're featuring the music of the Count Time Band with their song Ounce of Goodness. And return, David and I will continue our conversation with John Percy about the situations with the veterans and the announcement about the capping that's happening. You're listening to the P.A.C.E radio show here at lifestyleradio.ca.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
We're good friends till the bitter end. 'Cause I'll never bend
your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
The National Task Force on Medicinal Cannabis is a group of not-for-profit organizations dedicated to influencing government policy with factual evidence. Our mission is to ensure that a constitutional medical program is developed that will address the concerns of all Canadians that require therapeutic cannabis. The task force is looking for dedicated people who are willing to contribute to our cause. We have formed this task force to foster a unified approach and focus on lobbying the federal government and Health Canada. We represent the combined expertise of thousands of patients with more than a decade of experience. As a task force participant, you, your business, or your group will have an opportunity to show that you care and offer your unique skills to promote the cause. If you would like to get involved, go to medcanataskforce.org. That's medcanataskforce.org and use the Contact Us link to get started. Help us help you.
Tune into the P.A.C.E radio show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stultz-Giffin, or Allison Murden, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Canada, the time to act is now. These days, your customers are seeking variety. Increase your earning potential by expanding your inventory with C.C. Nexus, Canada's largest cannabis seed wholesaler. C.C. Nexus stocks over 60 reputable breeders, including Canuck seeds, with a wealth of autoflower, regular, feminized, and CBD strains. All first-time customers will receive a free pack of Canuck seeds, plus a mug, t-shirt, and additional promotional materials. Add strains and increase your profit with CC Nexus, your Canadian-owned and operated wholesaler of cannabis seeds. Discreet, worldwide stealth shipping from Canada, supporting you locally. Call today, 1-844-843-7995, 1-844-843-7995, or visit us at ccnexus.global.
Let your love light glow. Just reach out, take that full step and kick down the door. Just let it all go.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the P.A.C.E radio show. We are live here at lifestyleradio.ca, but you can also find us at www.420radio.ca, and you can find us at the P.A.C.E radio show website that you can find at pace-online.ca. Tonight's music was a Killing Time Band. The song An Ounce of Goodness, from my understanding, that song is tied to the Treating Yourself Expo, which we give away DVDs to. And if you enjoy the Killing Times music, you can go to killingtimeband.com, or you can look them up on YouTube because they got lots of videos there. Today on the show, we're joined by our guest, John Percy, and my joint host, Debbie Stultz-Giffin. Both of them are involved with the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. Before in the last couple segments, actually, we've been talking the whole show about the situations with the veterans. John, you're an advocate for these fellows for helping improve their lives and stuff. And we're fighting here with this cannabis issue. It's fantastic. But I'm going to hand the questions over to Deb so she gets some in this segment.
Thanks, during the break, I was reflecting briefly on Peter Stauffer's comments to the media recently, and I'd just love to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Well, funnily enough, a good portion of my day has been reflecting on Peter's comments too, and just how much of an effect that had on the change that came down. Whether it was inadvertent or not, I think he certainly got the community talking about, this 3 gram magic number that doesn't seem to do much for anybody. And I haven't talked to him about it yet, but rest assured I'm going to.
For those who didn't hear what he said, maybe you can't say exactly what he said, but give us a bit of an idea.
Oh, okay. Peter, for those who don't know, Peter Stauffer was the NDP veterans critic for many years in Parliament, and an absolutely marvelous advocate for veterans. He was just a tremendous resource, and I admire him tremendously, and I call him a friend. Okay, that's just for background there. But he, since he was defeated last year, he's involved in various enterprises that assist veterans. I mean, he's doing this from the heart. I make no mistake about that at all. But he's aligned himself with I guess it's a veterans dispensary clinic here in Halifax, and he has stated publicly last month that he doesn't think anyone needs 10 grams a day of dried product, and that's excessive, and it should be scaled back. And this huge question mark just shot up almost immediately in the community of what is he talking about? It's like nobody had a clue where this came from. And it's, people don't like to say bad things about Peter, and I certainly don't either, because his work is exemplary and beyond question. But
I agree.
In this particular instance, everybody just their eyebrows went up, and it was collective, across the country, and we still haven't figured out, what science he's using to come up with that kind of figure. Yeah, it was just a weird statement for someone like him to say.
I can only think of the one Canadian study, and that was the one that Dr. Mark Ware did at the McGill University.
At McGill.
Yeah, that showed a 1 to 3 gram smoking amount showed a benefit to a large percentage of the people in the test.
In that particular test, yes. In that particular scenario with those parameters, yes, that particular amount worked. In that
and that one was for pain. Like a lot of veterans obviously are dealing with PTSD.
And well, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not sure that study has been duplicated successfully. And I'd have to take a deeper look and see where it is.
I believe it was the last study that the government actually paid for help fund, and that took them 10 years to do. So,
well, I think it's the only one they funded.
Yeah, I agree.
you can't legally fund research into cannabis because it's still on Schedule 3 of the CDSA.
So is this?
And these are the same people who say we need more research. oh, okay, can we do research? No, it's illegal. But yeah.
Yeah. And then when it comes down to something like this, they seem to have all kinds of research.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, could it be more along the lines of, Deb mentioned it earlier, yourself as well, the Allard case. Is this more stigma, more than sort of believing their own propaganda? I'm thinking that there's no way that somebody's going to needs more than 3 grams or 5 grams. I even see where they're concerned about 5 grams.
Yeah, I'm not sure they even know what a gram is. Because the people that are talking about this are not patients. They're not people who, I mean, how many people in the medical profession, in law enforcement, or in politics will openly admit that, oh yeah, I do this all the time. I've done all kinds of, no, they'll almost all of them deny ever having even ingested cannabis. So I'm not sure where they're relying on. They're relying on conclusions. They're relying on conclusions drawn from studies that were looking for a particular outcome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you repeat it often enough. You say 3 grams a day, 3 grams a day, 3 grams a day, 3 grams a day, and suddenly people are going around going, "Yeah, 3 grams is a lot."
I know. This
really?
This article here on CBC, it says here the average authorization for Canadians, not just the vets, just for Canadians, is only 2.6 grams per day.
Yeah.
I don't know. There must be 40,000 others that weren't counted in that.
So Veterans Affairs feels they're being generous by allowing 3, not just 2.6.
Yeah, you got an extra half gram.
Yeah, but the problem is if you poll veterans exclusively, it's actually 6 to 7 grams a day.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why not cap it at the average? If they're going to throw a cap on it dollar-wise, 6 grams is better than 3, but it's still not, obviously some need that 10.
Well, yeah, the thing is, the cost should be the last thing on the list that you factor in here. Because you have a fiduciary and a moral duty to take care of these people. The government, in signing these people up, when they sign an agreement up to and including their life, okay?
Yeah.
And that's worth something. And the government, in return, guarantees that you come back, no matter what condition you're in, we'll take care of you and take care of you. And they're not doing that.
Not doing that.
They're not. And the last government didn't. And the one before that didn't. And the one before that didn't.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah.
It's built into the system to basically screw the customer.
Yeah, they look at it. They say here $75 million by the end of this year, and they're probably worried that people will think it's like $18 glass of orange juice, where people will start getting upset at them. But people will realize that this is for veterans, the people who have been fighting wars.
This is one of the costs of warfare.
Yeah.
It's you don't just say, well, how many bullets do we need and how many uniforms and boots and tanks and stuff. Oh, geez, that tank, we lost that one. How much that? And how many planes and how much is that? No, the real costs accrue when everybody comes back.
Yeah.
You can't stop costing out the war until the last veteran is taken care of. And that's when you can stop costing out the war. Because that's all part of the cost of doing war, baby.
It sure is.
And if you can't get your head behind that, don't send them any. Because it's all part of the cost.
Yep. Completely agree. Deb, I see we're close to the top of the hour. You want to squeeze in a question or two here before we wrap things up with John? Let's see. Yeah, she's not muted, so I don't know. She's got to be there somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
here's the thing. Just as a postscript, just as the last 10 seconds here.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
The fact that with cannabis therapy, the amount of prescriptions for sedatives and opioids among veterans has shrunk dramatically. But in general society, where cannabis therapy is not used, extensively, sedative prescriptions have been steady at roughly 10% of the population. Think of that. 10% of us are sedated at any time. And opioid prescriptions, anywhere from 15 to 20% of the population is currently under a prescription for a heavy narcotic. And they're first responders, they're actuaries, they're politicians, they're truck drivers, they're housewives, and they all get in their cars and they all go shopping. But everyone seems to worry about, well, what's going to happen when cannabis is legal? Well, what's been happening now with all these other things that are legal that 20% of our population is wandering at any given time.
Oh, yeah.
20% of our population is wandering around, under the influence of heavy narcotics, making decisions for us.
Exactly.
Gotta love that.
There's all kinds of opiates that patients, got to a point where they call them smarties because they get so many and they're prescribed a lot, and they'll just get in the car, just to them they may not be stoned or impaired, but I don't know. It's I myself I've been fortunate because of cannabis. I've been able to go through my condition for all these years without using any opiates. So
you are a lucky man.
Yeah. Well, I walked out of that hospital in 2003 with a bottle of morphine pills, and I returned them to the pharmacy 3 years later.
Fabulous.
Yeah, nothing but cannabis. So
there you go.
Maybe a Tylenol for a headache, but
nope.
No. Deb, did we get Deb back?
No,
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well. I don't know. She's there somewhere. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to think. Is there anything else that you would like to touch on when it comes to this veterans announcement? We did very well. We talked about it for an hour already.
No, other than the fact that there's going to be pushback, and hopefully it won't get ugly, but there's going to be pushback, and we may see some shift happening, and I'm certainly hopeful that that's going to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I hope so too, because that's what needs to be done. Some pushback.
I haven't met or spoken to a single person in the last couple of days who says, "Oh, that's fine." Not at all. Not at all. They're scared.
Yeah. I don't know. Imagine they would start, whether they'll start to do a march at the MP's offices, where they go to Parliament Hill.
Oh, we've done that before.
Yeah, I know.
No problem doing it again.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. I'm just actually communicating with Deb. So just so you know. Yeah. In behind the scenes. And I don't. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we're just gonna have to. Thanks, Deb. I don't know if she can hear us. So let's see. Well, John. As far as I know, I mentioned earlier in the show, you're involved with the Green Party. You're the leader there in Nova Scotia. It's not very often you get a political leader to come on to a show in order to be able to speak to them. I don't know how long you were there.
I was there
Go ahead.
for 6.5 years. I've been retired for a year.
Yeah. Wow. I thought, hey, a guy who could be premier of a province, it's like, I thought that was fantastic that you got involved, because you You were involved with the hemp stuff back then too, weren't you?
Yeah. Still trying to get hemp infrastructure built in this province so that we can actually get people planting the crop again. There's no point in growing something you can't sell.
Yeah.
That's right. I use Manitoba as a model with the public-private partnerships and deciding, what part of the hemp industry they wanted to go for, and they chose cosmetics and food grade. And, within, 6 years, they had a $150 million a year industry. You can duplicate that everywhere. I mean, here in Nova Scotia, we can use, what can we do with hemp? Well, we've got all these pulp and paper plants. We've got all these coal-fired power plants that could be converted over to burn, we're burning wood chips. We're doing biomass and wood fiber now. Well, let's just use hemp instead. You get two crops a year here because it's ocean temperate, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you could get 2 crops because your water would I think actually I saw the weather report. I think you guys supposed to get 20 centimeters of snow.
Not on the coast. No,
not
New Brunswick.
On the coast, eh?
Oh, New Brunswick.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. New Brunswick gets buried. No, we get rain most of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we get snow, but it goes away when it rains, and then we get snow and it goes away when it rains. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a nice place to visit. I've visited there a few times. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't lived there, so I can't say it's,
Yeah. I lived in Toronto for 40 years, and I came out here on a tour.
Yeah, and you never left.
And I just said, well, "This is crazy. I'm moving here," and that was it.
Yeah. That's actually a friend of mine. He was involved with the stuff that I do here with P.A.C.E, and that's what he did. All of a sudden, he just up out of nowhere and says, "Oh, I'm moving to New Brunswick." Month and a half later, he was gone. Yep. Sold his house. He was gone. Yep.
Pretty much what I did.
And he really enjoys it down there. So it's great.
Well, I've been here 20 years now.
Yeah. Good. And, it's always great. Deb comes on the show. We talk about the stuff that happens on the East Coast. Like, our news item today was on the East Coast, and the things that you guys are dealing with through your veterans and stuff and your advocacy work to help them. So.
And with all patients, I mean, saving patients' lives it makes me feel good.
it does, doesn't it? It's. I'm just gonna let everybody know what's happened with Deb is her microphone is broke down. So she can listen, but she's not talking. She can't. Yeah. Her microphone is decided to call it a night before she did. So. But no, I think it's great. The work and everything that you've done down there, and she's trying. So where do you go now? Like, is there something that is there people as far as just the veterans thing? Is there somewhere where you can? I guess we did talk about any type of rallies or events.
Well,
is there any type of meetings going on? Maybe
everything that's happening right now is going on online, and we're not sure if we have to organize anything at the moment. The veterans groups are pretty quick to organize stuff, though.
What about the ombudsman? Do you have ombudsman?
There's a veterans ombudsman, Guy Perron. I don't know Guy. I knew his predecessor, Pat Stogren.
Yeah,
I spoke
with Lift Expo.
Yeah, I spoke with Pat this morning actually about this. Go for it, go. Just do this. But I think if something has to be organized, it will be organized, and it will happen fairly quickly. I think right now what's happening is a lot of quiet diplomacy. While we're all going off on social media, people that we know and trust are in the background talking to people saying, look, this is unworkable. You're going to cause a lot of stress. We got to find some here, and we got to pull this back.
Yeah.
And, if you want to do it quietly, that's fine too. But I think that has to happen, or we're going to see things that we really don't want to see.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's easy to do. Everybody just sit down, and listen. I'm kind of tired of people saying we need more studies. I think if you look at it, cannabis is the most studied anything in the world.
I agree.
There's, I think, 33,000 different studies done on the effects of cannabis on the body and mind. I think Marcel's cataloged something like 11,000 of them so far. And we don't need more studies. We need to sit down and read the ones that are here.
Yeah.
The problem isn't that we don't have enough studies. The problem is we don't have enough people reading the studies that exist.
And we have maybe people in the way of prohibitionists maybe looking at these studies and not agreeing to them, like we saw here in the U.S. Sessions, good people don't smoke marijuana, type comments and some really negative end of things.
And that's born out of ignorance and conditioning. And it's tough to break that.
Yeah, like Chris Christie, cannabis money is blood money. Like, what the?
Well, it is because you keep it in the hands of illegal gangs and cartels. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a solution, Chris. Yeah, it's these. It's this incredibly strong and resilient Puritan work ethic that has hung on for the hundreds of years now, where it's very paternalistic too, that we know what's good for you and we're going to tell you how to conduct your life, because if we don't, you're going to act like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, nobody trusts the humanity to do the right thing 94 or 95% of the time. We always talk about the people who break the law or the people who game a system because they get in the news. You don't hear about the 95% of people who are perfectly content and would live within their own set of and rules all by themselves if none of them existed.
That's right. The negative news is usually the one that gets the noise,
and it becomes a problem because you keep hearing about it all the time. So it's a problem. It's an issue. We have to deal with this issue, and it becomes a thing that everyone gets distracted about.
Well, let's hopefully there's a lot of noise, and
I hope so.
Make an issue out of this with the veterans and the cutbacks and the capping and all that, because it's not right. It's they're not capping any other pharmaceutical drug that they're prescribing to them. So this is brutal. Okay, John. This is the time of the show. I'm looking to give you an opportunity to throw a shout out, a person, place, a thing, a website, something along that line.
I want to throw a shout out to Ted Smith. Just give him a great big hug.
Give a big hug. That's right.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to give Ted Smith a great big bear.
Give big bear hug. Yes, the man has. He's had some times, and it's I see him out there now getting back in all the advocacy stuff, and he's still writing and
wrote a great article just yesterday.
Yeah, I read that on the task force. Yeah, because the announcement for the task force stuff is supposed to be coming out by the end of the month. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I see Deb is still there.
Yeah, but she's got no mic.
I see she's muted. I just thought I'd just give her an opportunity to see if it would work. You know, it just quit suddenly, so maybe it would just work suddenly.
There's always a chance.
There's always that chance. That's right.
Oh, absolutely. Everything that dies is reborn.
She has sent me a Facebook message for me that sadly, no, she won't be able to do that. But on behalf of Deb, I'd like to thank you for being her guest tonight on the program.
Well, great, Al. I'll be happy to come back and talk.
Yes, we would love that.
I can rant.
Yeah,
I can rant.
Well, here you were at the beginning wondering whether you would have enough to talk about for we went an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, there you go.
That's right. Okay, let's see. This is a reminder that I will be back next Wednesday with my joint host, Kim Cooper, and her special guest. I also want to remind everybody to go to the P.A.C.E website, pace-online.ca, and send me a message that you're looking for some free stuff. This is educational information that needs to be shared. Dr. Robert Melvin, you know, who doesn't want to hear a conversation with him? So it's he's on that DVD. Let's see. So get your name in through our website. You can also find P.A.C.E on Twitter at P.A.C.E Radio, and you can also like us on Facebook. And let's see. Thank you tonight. As always, go to our sponsors. BMA Hydroponics, located in Belleville, Ontario. CC Nexus, a Canadian cannabis seed wholesaler, found at ccnexus.global. Al Rapper, Lifestyle Radio, the man behind the baggie. Also do a big thank you, as I mentioned, to our guest, John Percy. And my joint host, Debbie Stultz-Giffin of the Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana. Just before I get off them, they've got a shirt doing some fundraising. I love Mom. Big heart stuff on the chest. I got myself a T-shirt ordered. Can't wait to see it arrive. Plus a big thank you to you guys, our listeners, for tuning in the program. We wouldn't have a program if you didn't listen. Thank you, and good night. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you, and good night.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to